the Attorney General launched an investigation. They found that this man is foul. Here's the AG.
The independent investigation has concluded that Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women and in doing so violated federal and state law. Specifically, the investigation found that Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed current and former New York State employees by engaging in unwelcome and non-consensual touching and making numerous offensive comments of a suggestive and sexual nature that created a hostile work environment for women. The investigators independently corroborated and substantiated these facts through interviews and evidence, including contemporaneous notes and communications. This evidence will be made available to the public along with the report.
I know there are some people who are saying, well, it wasn't all that bad what he did. And obviously he's denying it. Here's the reality. If you stand for what is morally right, you have to take allegations like this seriously, especially when they're inside of your own party. The Attorney General, Ms. James, she's a Democrat. The witnesses corroborated. You had over 100 people question. This was thorough. And many witnesses have already given their testimony to the investigators. So here's more video.
Over the past several months, you have heard a number of complaints brought against me. I called for an independent review, and I said at the beginning I would let the process unfold. I didn't want anyone to say that I interfered. I said I would hold my tongue, and I have, making only limited comments. It has been a hard and a painful period for me and my family, especially as others feed ugly stories to the press. But I cooperated with a review, and I can now finally share the truth. My attorney, who is a non-political former federal prosecutor, has done a response to each allegation, and the facts are much different than what has been portrayed. That document is available on my website. If you are interested, please take the time to read the facts and decide for yourself. First, I want you to know directly from me that I never touched anyone inappropriately or made inappropriate sexual advances. I am 63 years old. I've lived my entire adult life in public view. That is just not who I am, and that's not who I have ever been.
Then it gets kind of weird. Watch this.
I do it with everyone, black and white, young and old, straight and LGBTQ, powerful people, friends, strangers, people who I meet on the street.
Wait a minute. Wait a damn minute. Was that an admission of guilt? Did he not just say, hey, I do it with everyone? Let's play the video again.
I do it with everyone, black and white, young and old, straight and LGBTQ, powerful people, friends, strangers, people who I meet on the street.
Okay, so you realize that literally he ordered somebody to find a bunch of pictures of him embracing other people, black people, white people, brown people, the young and the not so young. And this was his proclamation to the world. Hey, I'm not innocent, I'm not guilty, I'm actually innocent because look at these pictures. And just to provide proper context, the people in those pictures are not accusing him of being sexually inappropriate, okay? He's trying to make a thing that's not a thing in the first place. So you gotta be very careful about the slickness of the deceit here. Okay, let me read some background. The investigation found that he sexually harassed nearly a dozen women at work to retaliate against one of his accusers. I think he should resign, Biden told reporters Tuesday, echoing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and New York US Senator Chuck Schumer. The nearly 5-month non-criminal investigation, some are saying it should have been criminal, by the way, overseen by New York's Attorney General and led by 2 outside lawyers, concluded that 11 women from within and outside state government were telling the truth when they said Cuomo had touched them inappropriately, commented on their appearance, or made suggestive comments about their sex lives. Those accusers included an aide who said Cuomo groped at the governor's mansion, and the state trooper on his security detail who said he ran his hand or fingers across her stomach and her back. There's more. Ann Clark, who led the probe with former US Attorney Kim, said the allegations had varying degrees of corroboration, including other witnesses and contemporaneous text messages. Investigators interviewed 179 people, including the governor himself. It's time to sit down, sir. Brett, what are your thoughts?
I mean, so you're in a weird position. It's weird. It's okay to say that this is weird. The very serious allegations and ensuing investigation. They mentioned that they have 74,000 pieces of evidence that they have gathered. They talked, as you said, to 179 people about this. That is the serious thing. And this is a scandal that if some people don't like to call it that, but like in terms of the reason I call it a scandal is because that is how it seems that Cuomo is approaching it. And then juxtaposed to the very serious nature of that, you got the New York Attorney General coming out there and making very serious, grave statements about the findings of investigation. Then you have the weirdest response I've seen in quite some time, where he's like, I just do this all the time. I grab faces, I touch, I kiss people. What's the matter? Like, that is not a defense. And while it is different than saying, I rob people all the time, is what I do. I rob them. Here's pictures of me robbing them. I know it's different than robbing them, but like just because you do something all the time doesn't make it okay to do. It makes it normal behavior for you, but is that the norm that a reasonable person would expect at the office? That you would grab their face and kiss them? I don't think so. That's what makes it so terribly weird. And the other thing that I think has all the trappings of an official statement that you would come to expect, and so he's saying it in a way that seems official, that you need to call out what it is at the beginning when he goes, I let this play out. I let the investigation play out before I said anything. And now my statement is, I'm not guilty. Like it's as though we were, what was the alternative? Did we think that after the investigation, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I totally did it? No, you just said like, as he's trying to make you feel like this is a giant revelation, I'm not guilty at all. It's like, of course, like that's the same position you had going in. You didn't want to comment on it, but you sure wanted to spin it. And the other bit of evidence in his like debate prep is my lawyer says I'm not at fault. Right. Like, yeah, that's what your lawyer's supposed to do. It would be weird if your lawyer was like, oh no, guys, yeah, I talked to him, bad news, bad news. I think they're like prevented from doing that actually. And you would get a mistrial in at least a criminal court if your lawyer was not acting in your favor at all times along the way.
Right, and he tried to provide context to the attorney being nonpartisan, a former federal prosecutor, but it's the guy that you pay.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's like incentive.
100%.
Right, that's the incentive here, okay? That's the guy you pay to say what needs to be said in order to defend you. Listen, it is what it is, man. You know, at this point, everyone is asking for his resignation, including the president of the United States. Governor Cuomo is trying to stay in office and stay in power. And I also think there's another practical reason, because as long as he's in office and let's say these allegations become more, well, he gets to utilize the great power of the state of New York in order to defend him against these allegations because they happened during his time as governor. And I do expect this to evolve into much more after the press conference.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, resigning is something at his disposal. The New York Times editorial board came out with an op-ed saying, like, you gotta go, buddy. But it's just so strange in the meantime to see him kind of handle it this way. I really can't struggle. I'm struggling to find like a good argument, just taking myself out of it, what I think is right and wrong out of it, just trying to see what part of his argument is any good at all. And I didn't see one. I didn't see one at all. The big question here, I think, is an interesting question, and I have the luxury of being able to say what's interesting and what's not, as opposed to like what these people are going through. But in a post-Trump world where you just essentially, to take a term from this show, stick and stay until it all blows over. Now we're in a post Al Franken world where he left and people are like, "Why'd you do that?" He's trying to stick and stay and see if there are any negative consequences, and it looks like it's all at this point up to him.
Yeah, and this seems to be just much more extreme, and more may come. But we have right now a full investigation, according to the AG's office, 2 independent attorneys who were involved, corroborating witnesses. It's a lot. It's a whole lot.